Hey guys, you are listening to Vol. This weekend I was at the Battlecry convention in Auckland, New Zealand in the Koimarama ASB Stadium. And this is my fourth year at Battlecry. The last 3 years I was playing in the Women Fantasy Battles FluffyCon tournament. First year Tomb King, second year Warriors of Chaos, third year Empire. You can actually go back through my video channel and find all of the battle reports for the previous years. But this particular year, the fantasy tournament only got about, 12 players. And I think that's part and parcel due to a lot of people, not liking 8th edition so much. Secondly, a lot of people switching to War Machine Hordes and 40k. And thirdly, a little bit of drama surrounding sort of the club involvement with Battlecry, which is actually not run by a gaming club, it's run by the Auckland University. But there was a big turnout, as you can see here in the central part of the stadium. You've got the board gamers as well as the fantasy field in the foreground. On the left-hand side, all of the tables, from that left-hand row are 40k, and on the right-hand side there are a Moderns tournament, Flames of War, even a very small 8-man or maybe a maybe 8-man Malifaux tournament. Even some Moderns players, DBMM, all of the ancient stuff going on, and in another room, Magic the Gathering, and so forth. So very cool stuff. So let's talk about my involvement in 40k, which is a rarity for me these days, playing a lot of War Machine and Hordes. There was no War Machine and Hordes event. We couldn't get that organised, so I switched to 40k, and I decided to make use of my Imperial Guard army that I've had in storage for a while and won't really be spending a lot of time on. So go to the next photo. Here's how it turned out. Here's the level that I've managed to bring it up to. You can see my 3 Vendettas which have been put together, and I've used a can of red spray paint which I got from a New Zealand website called Slave to Painting, which even after my attempt with the airbrush caved in on me and I didn't use enough paint thinner, the pre-made spray can really worked wonders. So I got all the vehicles done, the red base coat at least. Excuse me. You can also see all of my guardsmen squads done up with the red spray paint, and some of them even painted up a bit more. Mostly Necromunda squads. This is the sort of Khorne-themed Traitorguard, Imperial Guard army, and it looked alright. Obviously, this is a tournament where painting scores and army composition scores played a massive part, something like 40 or 50% of your overall score. So forget about me winning the tournament. Came here just to have a bit of fun and to use this army and at least bring it to at least one event. And it's a very hard army, so very low comp score, very unfinished army, only like a third painted, so very low painting score. And I actually made a mistake when I submitted my army list. I accidentally wrote down the list that the Vendettas were a squadron of 3, which is a big no-no. You'd never do that as a guard player. So I emailed the guy back and said, no, they're going to be 3 separate guys, 3 separate vehicles in the fast attack choices. And of course, because I had to make that change late, I got a further comp hit on my score. So you can kiss chances of winning goodbye when that happens. But it doesn't really come down to winning or losing when it's a tournament like this. I'm a War Machine player these days. I play that. This is just really more of a fun thing. So that's the army that I took. So let's have a look at some other people's armies. Next photo, you've got the Grey Knights. Looks like Stan's army here with a couple of Dread Knights and Storm Raven flying rubbish trucks. These guys are pretty cool. Stan won the best sportsman vote because he's a really nice guy. Next image, another Grey Knights army, a bit more of a bluish-grey themed. I don't really know too much about the Grey Knights Codex. I've read through it maybe once or twice, but never paid too much attention, and haven't really faced them very much in the fields of battle. So, that's what he's got here. Next image, another sort of generic Chaos list. He's got 4 Rhinos worth of, CSM and Berserkers with the Demon Prince and Greater Demon, Obliterators, and not shown here are all of his infantry, but just a sort of generic sort of Chaos list. There's only a few different builds that really work with Chaos, and this is one of them. So next image, just to prove that point, here's, the basic build for Chaos. Actually, even more similar to the build that I run. He's got the Defiler, Land Raider, 3 Rhinos, Demon Prince, and, the Obliterators. So that's, a very balanced Chaos list. It's a fun one to play, and no wonder a lot of people play it. But, struggling. I think Chaos are definitely in need of a new book. So hopefully we'll see that sometime over the next year or two. Next image, wouldn't be a 40k tournament without the Salamanders, or should we say the Silly-manders. This is a Vulcan list with, Terminators with Thunderhammers and Storm Shields as far as the eye can see. So not a very fun guy to come up against, but, you know, it's there. And this is a tournament where you're allowed special characters, but you're only allowed one special character across the board. So if somebody else submits their list with, you know, Tigurius or Vulcan or whoever first, only they can take that special character. Next image, this is Corey with his Dark Eldar. I met Corey at the Valicon tournament in Wellington, where we were playing War Machine. Hordes actually shared a room with him, and instead of going to bed, we actually stayed up watching movies. So got to hang out with this guy quite a lot, but didn't really talk too much at this event. He was too busy playing with his Dark Eldar army, and looks like it's really coming along. It's definitely painted more so than his Retribution for War Machine. Next image looks like some sort of Scorpion-themed army. It's a very, very, very generic Space Marine army. And if you go to the next photo, the only thing that isn't really very generic is just the conversions he's done on the bikes with the Scorpion tails and claws at the front. I thought was quite cool. But other than that, it's just a, you know, status quo sort of Space Marine army, so not particularly interesting there. Next image, Tau. There was the one Tau player at this event. Looks like a pretty cool Tau army, fairly solid choices in it. I don't really know too much about 40k and how the metagame works, so I couldn't tell you whether this is a particularly hard army or not, but Tau aren't one of the front runners in the sort of 40k scene. Next image, didn't manage to take a picture of this guy's army by the time he'd set up for the beauty pageant and show-off thing, but in the background that's Isaac with his space wolves and lots of dogs. So, yeah, I don't know how well he did or how much he ended up finishing his army, but that's the shot I've got of that particular Space Wolves player. Next image, this is Matt, also known as Lazarus, with his Bealtan Craftworld Eldar. The thing about Matt is that he spends more time on his guys than everybody else. It's taken him like a year to put this army together. Amazing game board and exquisite, you know, attention to detail and cleanness of painting. The only reason I didn't vote him the best painted of this whole event is that it is a bit boring. You know, it's a little bit very close to the way that they're painted in the book, and it does come across a little bit bland. But I mean, that's picking it. You know, it's nitpicking. There are not really many things to criticize with this army. It does look very striking. You see it right across from the other side of the room, and it's just so, you know, completionist. It's really, really finalized and polished. So I just really love that about his army. Next photo shows you a close up. You can see how cleanly the colors are done, and how, you know, how well it's black lined, and everything's just highlighted properly. And it's just a joy to look at, and I really feel stoked that I didn't actually get to play him. Next image, this Eldar army even better. This is Mark Buddle with his Eldar. Mark is probably the New Zealand number 2 when it comes to 40k, and he's got a mech-themed Eldar list. Love the gaming board. He's done the nice sort of watery, icy effect, as well as the trees in the background, and everything just done really lovely. Yeah, Mark's been a 40k player for a long, long time, so really cool stuff. Next image just shows you a bit more of a close-up on how bad my camera is at focusing. You can't see the Harlequin at the front, but Harlequin's at the back there just looking great, and he's got plenty of Dire Avengers as well. Next image, David Wilson with his Sisters of Battle, and nice white paint job on the tanks. I've actually showed you many pictures of this army before, but this is with the new White Dwarf version of the Codex with Saint Celestine in it. Next time after that, this is Charlie St. Clair with his Necrons. Charlie is renowned to be the number 1 40k player in New Zealand. He's won tournament after tournament after tournament. I think he only lost the Battlecry event last year due to the heavy reliance on the comp system and the way that's been run. But Charlie's, you know, virtually undefeated in 40k. He's always the favourite to win. And what is astounding about this Necron army is that it was painted in about 6 days using an airbrush, and even though the book's just come out and the models have just come out, he's still got it all together, ready for this tournament to kick ass, and of course he won this event as well. Really nice conversions on the Wraiths, by the way, especially. So if you go to the next image, you can see a little bit more detail here. As you can see, he's just done some really cool airbrushing and stuff with it, and just picked everything out cleanly. He normally plays Space Orcs, and there's one other guy at the event who actually picked, who played Orcs and actually used the same army list that he won all the other events year after year with, but I'm not too sure if that was deliberate or not. And he also plays Space Wolves, and we're lucky that he didn't bring a Space Wolves this time because they are brutal. Next image, a bit more of a close-up at his Necron Lord in this little flying thingamajiggy. I haven't really had a chance to read the Necron book, so I don't actually know what the stuff does, but apparently it's pretty nasty, otherwise it probably wouldn't be in his list, but looking really cool. Next image, this is I think people are calling this the Drago Wing, I'm not sure, but he's got some Count Saz models in there. It's really basically just like an 18 model army, I think it's 18 anyway, with a couple of characters and Terminators. If you go to the next image, you can see a bit more close up. He's got the Librarian, he's got this model up front, which I believe is meant to be the Emperor in the miniatures range, but he's using it to represent possibly Drago or somebody else, not too sure. But really cool idea for an army, and very nicely painted indeed. Next, this is Pascal with his Blood Angels. I played Pascal once at a gaming club situation, and even though he had the worst luck in the world, he still thrashed me. And I think that this army is probably my pick for the hardest army at the event. The 3 Storm Ravens and all his Dreadnoughts and the Librarian, just really brutal to deal with. It's just got so many good matchups and so few bad matchups, and it's great in scenarios, great at just killing you. So I'm lucky I didn't have to face him. But great guy, great painter. Wouldn't say anything against him. It's just, matchup-wise, very hard to beat. Next photo, this is the Orc guy that I was talking about. He is basically playing almost a carbon copy of Charlie St. Clair's classic Orcs list, which he took to many events and won, almost all of them, if not all of them. And what's amazing about this army is that there are so many models, but they're all painted to a very high standard. If you go to the next image, you can actually see a bit of a close-up, and all of the Orcs in the army are actually painted, to this level, which is amazing. Can't, even come to terms with how long it would have taken him to do that. So just hats off to that guy. Next image, this is Doug Sainsbury with his Grey Knights list. He's taken Cotiers and all of the henchmen and so forth, and he's got his Rhino stack. So that's all of the vehicles that he plays with in his list. And Doug's a great player. He won Battlecry last year, coming first, Charlie coming second because of the way the comp scores work. He got a very nice comp score for his Rainford Wing army, and even though he lost to Charlie, he did actually win the event due to soft scores. But he's back with Grey Knights and looking to do very strongly with this particular list. Next image, this is Dave Dawn with his Space Marines. He's themed this army as the Jason and the Argonauts army, where the Chapter Master is Jason and the warriors are the Argonauts. I voted Dave's army best painted, hands down. He's got the great, gritty, realistic weathering look to it. Everything's done very nicely, and it's just such a polished, finished look with the gaming board as well. Dave's one of my close mates and my one practice opponent for 40k on a regular basis. He's the only person I play regular 40k games with. Carpooled with him to the tournament, and if you go to the next photo, you sort of see why he deserves best painted. Everything looks really cool. Love the washes and the colour choices that he's done, especially all the freehand on the banners and everything. Looks awesome. I kept telling him he ought to do away with the black bases and put some sort of how should I put it? Like how the Greeks did their vase artwork with the ochre and the black. I thought that would look really awesome. But regardless, it does look very awesome, and that's Jason. We actually played a practice game for this event with my Imperial Guard against the Space Marines, and it came down to actually quite a close game, but I managed to steal it thanks to some good luck. Next image again, this is his Librarian, which is using to count as Tigurius. He also uses it to count as the Red Scorpions guy from Forge World. And I'm proud to have donated the Flagellant head, which is currently on this model, and it's a great fit. So really cool stuff. I just can't get over how awesome the army looks. Next image, this is Chris with his Dark Eldar, and another good addition. This is Chris's first 40k army, 40k event, I think. The black and the green basing and display board, really lovely effect, and he's done a really good job in this army. Very simple effects, but so effective. And if you go to the next photo, his witches and everything, just nice colour scheme, nice colour choices. I've got an eye for that and a good eye for detail. And he hasn't just stuck to 2 or 3 colours, he's gone for several of them and really made it work. Next image again, you get to see a bit more of his jet bike there and some of his grotesques or whatever these things are. No idea. But still a great one to look at. And yeah, would have loved to play them. Really cool looking stuff. Next image, just your status quo Ultramarines. I think he was the one of 2 Ultramarines players. You always expect to run into them at 40k events, and this one no exception. Next image, another generic Chaos Space Marines army. Not very finished, but you can sort of see that Chaos Space Marines are a very popular choice. Next image again, another mech Eldar army. This would be the second or third one we're encountering here, and just status quo stuff, average paint job compared to some of the better armies in the field, but looks like the kind of army you could be successful with. He's got all the tools you need to compete, with Eldar. Next image again, I think this is just another shot of the Scorpions army I've already taken a photo of, so I think this was taken after he finally set up, so we'll skip to the next one. Already shown you this army with the Custodes, the Drago wing or whatever, but I'd like to point out that he used the Valkyrie jet engines as the backpack for his Dreadnought, which was quite cool. And next image, another Tau player. Sorry, I said there was only one Tau player. There are in fact two. This is the very, very lime-coloured Tau army, and it really stands out. You don't really see this army very frequently in a 40k army, so very, very different. And not too sure how well he did, but again, it is very hard to play and be successful with Tau. Next image is more of a close-up. You can see his ethereal in there, and some nice-looking shoulder pads. Next image again, oh my god, look at this, Slaanesh-themed demons, and he's actually made himself a Slaanesh Titan, which I believe he's just using as terrain in his games. But very, very fast-looking army, obviously quite good in close combat, high initiative stuff. And next image shows you a better look at this big bug-like Slaanesh demon, Titan that he's come up with. Probably a Warhound sort of Titan at that sort of level, and I'm sure he plays some Apocalypse games with it, but very, very cool looking. Next image, just more of a look at his Fiends, which are very nasty to come up against. He's got a Demon Prince in the back there, and just generally lots of purple. Lots and lots and lots of purple. Another photo, again, of his Keeper of Secrets. Wonderful Forge World model. I know a few people who own this one, and it's a great one if you're playing Chaos Demons. I really recommend getting this one from Forge World. It's just a very imposing miniature on the tabletop. Next image again, I think this is the Space Wolves guy I was talking about earlier, who's actually set his army up for pictures, so I thought I'd snap off a pic of it. And yep, as far as Space Wolves go, looks pretty stock. Next image, Tzeentch-themed demons. This guy certainly hadn't, packed up all his models, so this is only half of the army before he'd set it out, but I thought I'd take a pic to show you that it was present at the field. Next image again, this is Dean from Whanganui, sorry, not Whanganui, Whangarei, I should say, very different places of the country. Me and Dean played at Battle of the Brindlewinds tournament, and he beat me. Didn't get a chance to get my revenge this event, but he was there with Mephiston and, keeping it real. So, looking good. Next image, my camera just can't focus for shit, but there's Mephiston with his glowing blue eyes up the front, so doing very well, and I think Dean picked up 4 wins, 2 losses by the end of it, so kudos to him. Next image, a very cleanly painted Space Wolves army, lots of weathering, but also lots of highlighting, and I think this was one of my favourite painted armies of the event, just for finish. And if you go to the next photo, you can see how cleanly his land speeders were painted and highlighted. So, looking really cool. So that's an overview of it, guys. I think I missed out 2 or 3 different armies there. But, try and bear with me as I take you through 6 games with my Imperial Guard. Bit of a boring mech list and, very, very shooty, but that's what it's all about. I promised I'd deliver the reports and I took the photos, so I'm going to do it anyway, and we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned.